The text hit at 4:13 p.m. on December 27th, while I was in the middle of going over Q4 Burn with Victor, my CFO. Brother, don't come to New Year's Eve. My fiancée is a corporate lawyer at Harrington and Cole. She can't know about your situation. That's what Nolan wrote. My situation. Quick note before we keep going. Share which city or country you're watching from. It felt like getting smacked across the face with a velvet glove. Polite. Precise. Meant to leave no bruises, just the message. Stay in your lane. I've been called worse, sure, but that one felt polished, like he'd rehearsed it in the mirror. The family group chat lit up like someone pulled the fire alarm. Mom? This is important for Nolan's career. Dad? Lauren's folks run in serious circles. Kelsey, always ready to pile on. Maybe next year when you've figured things out. The dots bounced, one after another, like they were waiting their turn to circle the wagons, without me inside them. Victor tapped on my glass door, leather folio tucked under his arm, our logo stamped dead center, Northline Analytics. Mr. Delaney, the board wants to move tomorrow's strategy block to noon. They're nervous about the Harrington and Cole timeline. I held up a finger. He nodded and slid back out. Nolan again. Lauren thinks I come from a family of achievers. Having you there would complicate that story. You understand, right? That story, that one word told me everything. He'd written a version of me that fit clean into his life. A placeholder, not the real me, just the one that didn't mess up the narrative. I typed 2 words. Understood, Nolan. He replied like I was one of his vendors. I'll make it up to you. Sure. I set my phone face down, looked up at Victor. Confirm noon, and Harrington and Cole's full M&A bench is coming January 3rd. Lock it. He nodded. Already done. 3 partners, 6 associates, their tech consultant, and the CEO plus 2 board members from Gridspan. That's who we were up against. That's who Nolan was marrying into. I didn't grow up the achiever. That was Nolan. Varsity everything, student council, best smile, and yearbook. Kelsey married a plastic surgeon and took up pickleball at the club. Me, I was the quiet one. Fixed lawnmowers in the garage, taught myself C before I could legally drink. Dad said I should aim at something realistic. Told me I'd make a decent help desk guy. I didn't argue. I just went to work. I launched my first company at 23. It lasted 11 months. I'd just filed the dissolution when the group chat lit up. Mom sent a Bible verse. Kelsey sent a meme about grind culture. Dad said, maybe try grad school, something steady. Nolan offered to ask around for entry level. I didn't reply. I kept wrenching on the same problem after hours, supply chains bleeding money because no one could see the whole map at once. I couldn't let it go. I cashed out what I had, 22 grand total, half of it from selling a used truck I stripped for parts. Moved into a 470 square foot apartment above a laundromat that smelled like solder and dryer lint. Wrote code till my eyes stung. The first version of the model ran at 1:58 a.m. on a Tuesday when the power kept flickering from a storm. The building shook every time thunder hit, and I thought, if this crashes, I'm done. It didn't. The system pulled clean insight from a filthy data set. Optimization paths lit up like veins in a scan. I felt it in my chest, like something inside me clicked into place. I didn't tell the family. Not when I signed Client 1, a freight outfit out of Cheyenne that needed to cut 19% just to survive winter. We delivered 31% in 1 quarter. They sent a handwritten thank you note and a cooler of elk jerky. I stuck the note on my fridge. I ate the jerky by the handful. Both helped. Money came slow, then it came fast. A seed check from a quiet industrial fund. Then Series A, $9.5 million. I hired smart, smarter than me. Maya owned product like she'd built it in her sleep. Walt made ops flow like water. Layla handled math I only pretended to understand. By year 3, we had 110 employees and a downtown office with glass walls and a view of the Broncos stadium. When we closed Series B at 160 flat, Peregrine Capital leading, Dad texted me a photo of Nolan holding a crystal plaque on some stage. Your brother crushed his quarter. By the time we crossed 520 employees in 5 offices and hit a $1.8 billion valuation, I knew what I needed, a small, locked circle. Victor knew I didn't take personal calls during board prep. Priya, our general counsel, knew I'd rip a clause apart but expected the same fire back. Walt once walked into my office after a 70-hour week and said, "You work like you're trying to erase something." I looked at him and said, "Not erase, rewire." He didn't ask what. He just nodded and went back to the floor. In October, the deal dropped in our lap. Gridspan Logistics, $860 million market leader on the East Coast, aging out, legacy tech stacked like Jenga. Their software looked like it got built the same year pagers were cool. They wanted a premium while they still had one. We wanted their customer list, their lanes, their middle-mile optimization data. Harrington and Cole was running point. That meant Lauren Whitmore, senior associate, also Nolan's fiancée, would be in the room. Her name sat third on the conflict disclosure. Priya caught the twitch. Problem? Nope. The problem wasn't the deal. It was the fact that everyone walking into that room thought they already knew who I was. We ran diligence fast, clean numbers, tired systems, loyal staff. The kind of shop that hadn't innovated in years, but hadn't lost its soul either. Doyle, the CEO, was trying to leave with his pride intact. I could respect that. December hit. Gridspan signed LOI. We prepped to close first quarter. Christmas came and went. I got a photo in the group chat. Nolan and Lauren at some rooftop in Manhattan, skyline behind them. Dad in a tux, stiff as a statue. Mom in a gold dress that probably cost more than my first car. Kelsey was there, holding a champagne flute she'd spelled flute in the caption. No one corrected her. At 11:19 p.m. on New Year's Eve, Nolan sent another text. "Thanks again for understanding. Lauren's dad kept asking about family. Easier this way." Easier for who? I typed back, "Have a good night." At 12:03 a.m., I poured one glass of rye and raised it to no one. Happy New Year, Grant. Make it interesting. Talking to yourself at 58, past midnight, glass in hand, could mean red flag. I decided to call it a restart. January 3rd hit cold and clear. I was in by 6:10 a.m. Our space takes up floors 19 through 22 of a glass box on 17th Street. My office sits high on 22 with a clean view north to the foothills. Victor already had the lights up and coffee strong enough to punch a hole in your chest. "Full roster confirmed," he said, sliding a folder toward me. 3 partners, 6 associates, IP consultant, Gridspan's CEO plus 2 board members. He paused. Whitmore's listed second chair. Walt stuck his head in. "You sitting quiet like usual, or you taking first chair?" "I'm opening." He blinked. "You?" "Yep." He grinned. "Then I'm bringing popcorn." Priya walked in behind him with a stack of marked up documents. She didn't ask why I was running point. She just said, "Math holds, IP's clean. Earnouts are solid, nothing flammable." I nodded. "Good." I put on a charcoal jacket, crisp white shirt, brown boots I've had since before Series A, and the old field watch my grandfather gave me. Not for them, for me. To remember who the hell I am when the room fills with people who think they know. Victor gave the 5-minute warning. I stood, looked once out the glass at a frozen blue sky, and walked towards Conference A. Conference A was our show pony, walnut slab table that sat 26, polished like it had something to prove. Built-in screens, recessed lighting, glass wall that made the skyline look like a theater backdrop. I was already seated at the head when Victor opened the doors. "Welcome to Northline Analytics." Harrington and Cole came in like they were running a drill. 3 partners, sharp suits, clean shoes, eyes dead forward. 6 associates trailed behind, tablets out, expressions blank. Gridspan's CEO, Raymond Doyle, walked in next with 2 board members, both ex-military by the look of them. Rigid spines, no wasted motion. Then came Lauren, third in line, hair pinned tight, slate gray suit, eyes down on her screen. She didn't see me until she was 3 steps inside. When she did, it hit her like a slap. She froze, blinked, and her tablet slipped in slow motion. She caught it, barely. Grant, the lead partner, Clayton Brooks, turned. You know Mr. Delaney? I smiled like we were both reaching for the same box of cereal. Hello, Lauren. She didn't move. Her mouth opened, stalled. This is... She didn't finish. I let it sit. Not to be cruel, just long enough for her to feel it. That weight of history you thought you buried, showing up in a press suit with a team behind him. Let's get seated, Brooks said. His voice snapped the air like a flag. We sat. I stood to open the deck. Grant Delaney, founder and CEO. Appreciate everyone making the trip. Let's jump in. I ran them through the structure. $910 million total value. $640 up front in cash. $270 in performance earnouts over 36 months, tied to retention, conversion, and product adoption milestones. No fluff, no theater, just math, clean and direct. Doyle asked real questions: staff protections, regional redundancy, integration pacing. The guy gave a damn about his people. I respect that. I answered him straight, showed him where we'd build, not gut. Brooks tried to poke holes. 42% YOY is, frankly, optimistic. We've averaged 49 the last 4 years, I said. Worst quarter still cleared 43. Those are audited. His partner gave a tiny smirk. I saw it die on his face halfway through the breath. Then Brooks turned to Lauren. IP transfer protocols. You've got the lead on that. Lauren blinked like she was waking up in the wrong house. Patricia, the other partner, nudged her. Schedule. Lauren looked down, then back up. Her voice came out thinner than I'd ever heard it. Excuse me? Can I get a minute? Brooks gave a sharp nod. 5. She stepped out fast, tablet clutched like a shield. We paused. Associates shifted. Nobody spoke. I stayed seated, fingers steepled. Out in the hall, I watched her pace. Phone pressed to her ear, other hand in her hair, whole body wired like she was running off adrenaline and not enough oxygen. I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't hate it either. Clayton came back in alone and cleared his throat. Lauren will be excused for a personal matter. Patricia slid into her seat without missing a beat and took over IP like she'd been born with the binder in her hands. That's how professionals work. They finish the job. We wrapped at 12:47 p.m. Clean close. Handshakes all around. Signatures set for Friday. Doyle held back for a second. 15 years is a lot to hand over, he said. I know, I told him. You look like a guy who keeps his word. I'll try to earn it. When the room cleared, Victor shut the glass and handed me my phone like it was evidence. You've got a hurricane. 81 texts, 29 missed calls. Nolan led the pack. Call me now. What the heck? Mom, Lauren says you ran the meeting. Dad. Please explain. Kelsey, did you lie to us? Then Nolan again, the one that actually made me laugh. You told Lauren you were at a startup. I typed one line into the family chat. I never lied. You never asked. Bring the board in, I told Victor. After the board cleared, Victor leaned back into my office. Your mother is downstairs. Send her up. Mom walked in and went quiet. The View does that to people. The fortune profile framed on the wall doesn't hurt either. She sat slow, hands folded too tight. 6 years, she said, and you never told us. You all told me what I was, I said. I stopped offering updates. She asked about the deal. $910 million, I said. Harrington and Cole was across the table. And Lauren? She ran out. Mom stared at the floor like she was working through a math problem she'd promised herself she'd never need. Your father is upset, she said. He thinks we should have celebrated you more. I don't know how to fix this. I'm not a problem to fix, I said. I have a company to run. She nodded, stood, and left without hugging me. 10 minutes later, Nolan showed up. Suit too tight, shoes too shiny. The whole look screamed, I work in slides. He held up his phone with my Forbes article open. Is this real? Close enough. You made me look like an idiot. No, I said. You did that when you built your relationship on the idea that I was a failure. He ran a hand through his hair. You ruined New Year's. I wasn't invited. He stood there like he wanted to say more, then didn't, turned and walked out. I waited until the elevator dinged, then pressed the button for Victor. "Lock Friday," I said, "and prep the press grid." He nodded and moved. I picked up my phone, silenced the thread, and slid it into my desk. Then I pulled the GridSpan integration plan back up on my screen and started assigning work. 2 weeks passed. We signed on a Friday at 4:22 p.m. No drama, just initials, pens, and a done deal. The following Tuesday, my phone buzzed. "Dad." "Coffee?" "Just us." We met at a small spot near my building where they burn the beans like it's policy. Loud grinder, brick walls, and the kind of chairs that punish you for staying too long. He looked older than I remembered, shoulders lower, hands shaky when he picked up the mug. "Your mother says I owe you an apology," he said. "Do you think you do?" He nodded once. "I read the whole article, twice." That part about the first model running at 1:58 a.m., I stopped there for a while. Couldn't believe it. I didn't say anything. "You really lived in a place that small? 470 square feet, smelled like solder and bad pizza. And 22 grand to start a company?" "That's right." He looked down at his coffee like it had answers. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because you made it clear I shouldn't aim high, and I believed you longer than I want to admit." He winced, like the truth landed harder than he expected. "That's probably fair." Hearing that from him felt like thunder with no warning. Quiet sky, then boom. We sat with it, no rush. He brought up MIT, like it still mattered I didn't go. I told him I went to state school at night while holding 2 jobs. He said he just wanted me to have structure, a safety plan. "I didn't need structure," I said. "I needed you to ask what I was working on, instead of telling me what Nolan was working on." That landed too. He took a long breath. "What do you need now?" I didn't hesitate. "I need to be seen, not used, not managed, not pitied. I'm not a resource for Kelsey's husband's clinic, and I'm not a name for Mom to drop at charity lunches. I'm not a case study. I'm me." He nodded. "I can try. Try is all I'll take. 1 dinner a month, no lectures." "Agreed. No career advice. You get 1 free warning if I slip. 1, then I'm gone." He laughed. "Fair." We stood to leave. At the door he paused. "I told the guys at golf about you. One of them asked why I'd never mentioned you before." I raised an eyebrow. "What'd you say?" I told him the truth. I was an idiot. I didn't rub it in, just patted his shoulder. "The coffee's terrible here, by the way." He laughed again. Real this time. Back at the office, Priya was waiting with a smirk and a bottle of wine. "Harrington and Cole sent an apology," she said. "And this. I Googled the label. That number on it, that's a mortgage in half the country." I chuckled. "That their version of a handshake? More like surrender terms." Lauren transferred to their DC office. That came in as a rumor, which meant Kelsey heard it through Mom, who definitely pulled it out of someone's gossip-riddled phone call. Nolan and Lauren postponed their party. The family chat went quiet after that. Blessedly quiet. Early April, Nolan finally sent a real apology. No mention of Lauren. "No, this has been hard. Just, I was wrong about you. I'm sorry." I stared at it for a full minute before typing, "Thanks. If you're serious about doing better, let's grab coffee." He said he was. Watching your little brother try to grow up at 35 is strange. Stranger still is realizing you might be the reason he finally starts. Lauren ended the engagement in May. Family dynamics and reputational risk were the terms used. That's fancy talk for she pitied the wrong Delaney and couldn't stomach the fallout. I didn't gloat. I went for a walk around Sloan's Lake. The air felt clearer than usual. Mom and I had coffee once. She picked a spot with fancy cups and bad scones. She tried, she apologized, then got mad at herself for apologizing, then apologized for getting mad. I let her spin for a minute. Then I said, "I'd rather you ask me 3 honest questions than give me 1 more speech about what's best." She nodded, teared up, and said she'd try again in a couple months. Boundaries grow like grass, patchy, slow, and not always where you plant them. Dad kept his word. We met once a month for dinner. He asked about Walt and Maya and Priya by name. He started using terms like retention curves and customer churn, got Series A and Series C mixed up once, but nailed it the second time. One morning in June, Forbes dropped a new cover. My face, big headline. The unassuming Titan. I hated it. My team loved it. Victor printed it. Walt taped a copy to the coffee machine. Maya made it her desktop background. I framed one copy and hung it behind my office door. Facing in, not out. Not for Nolan, not for Dad, not for press or prestige. For the guy who sat alone in a 470 square foot apartment that smelled like solder and bad takeout. The one who kept building after everyone else had already decided how his story ended. Nolan texted the morning the cover hit. Saw the magazine? You look good. I typed back, appreciate it. Then came, for what it's worth, I'm glad I was wrong. I stared at that one. It wasn't big, but it was clean. I wrote, I'm glad you're starting to figure that out. Coffee? He said yes. We met the next day. No blow-ups, no scoreboard, just two brothers who grew up in the same house and were finally talking like men. People always ask if I planned it, if it was some long, cold revenge. It wasn't. I just kept my head down and built. But I won't lie, watching Lauren's face in that boardroom, watching her crash when she realized who I was, it didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like a gear finally locking in. Not loud, just final. The family still slips. Kelsey DM'd asking if Northline could sponsor her charity pickleball experience. I told her to email partnerships like everyone else. Mom forwarded 3 articles I didn't read and a photo of Nolan with a new haircut that actually looked decent. Dad texts me after every dinner. Proud of you? Short is fine. I believe him now. The real payback? It's Raymond Doyle checking in to say his people are thriving. It's Maya rolling out a feature 2 weeks ahead of schedule. It's Walt shaking his head because our worst quarter beat last year's best. It's Priya landing a clause no one thought we'd touch. It's Victor dropping off coffee at 7:15 a.m., saying it tastes like tar, and me telling him that's exactly how we like it. I didn't win anything flashy. I won something steadier. I got my footing back. A father who shows up. A brother who's trying. A job that still kicks me in the ribs in a good way. Turns out the best revenge isn't a scene. It's a life you'd pick again, even if no one noticed. And if they finally do, fine. I'll hold the door. Then I'll get back to work.